Can't get enough of your song of the moment? Download and indulge in the tracks you love over and over again with Spotify Premium. Tune in to discover an ad-free music listening experience where you can play your favorites in any order. Tap the banner to learn more.
Good morning, guys. What's up? Hi, Taufik. I see you, Taufik. I see you, Taufik. Good morning. How are we all doing today? So let's just wait for others to join, yeah, and then we start off. But so this was our gold trade for Monday, and I'm sure each and every one of us, took that gold trade. Hopefully. Hi, Daniel. What's up? I see you, Daniel. So we are, gold trade is still moving fine. Hi, morning, Stephanie. Don't forget to invite your friends. Send the link. Post the link on your small community group. Status anywhere. Just invite people. And I hope we can all hear me clearly. I'm not sounding too low and I'm not sounding too pitchy.
More important than system itself, or just an excuse when systems fail. How do you have a system without psychology being part of it? Is this straight your psychology back on you making profits?
Okay. Yep. Happy to see you guys. Good morning, Chimal B. Joseph. Morning, 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 morning. Like I said, don't forget to share. Don't forget to send the link out to your friends, community, family, anybody at all that is a trader. I want to see how we can keep this. I want to see how we can keep streaming. Mondays, Wednesdays, and maybe Fridays, pending how busy I might be. Hi, morning, Professor John. Morning, top of the morning to you too. I'm trying to see how we can keep this up at least 3 times a week, hopefully, and God gracing gives us the strength to do it as frequent as we can. But what is happening in the market? What are we seeing in the market? This week, we've started to see the dollar gain, some certain level of strength pushing forward, which is very important. And as we all know, we are waiting for the Feds, to kind of, either cut rates or keep the rates normal as Powell has been doing. And today we have FOMC minutes. There's usually a misconception about FOMC meeting and FOMC minutes. A lot of people don't know the difference. So FOMC minutes is more or less like, um, you, let's say the secretary basically of the feds just trying to give us insights to certain discussions that have been happening, although yes, they can give, they could give subtle hidden notes to help us understand what is happening, and what the feds might be wanting to do. It might give us insights, but it's not necessarily a high impact news. Okay, it's just minutes. What really is a high impact news is the meetings, those are the high impact news. Okay, or when Powell is having to, face a committee in the house, or is having to meet with maybe the SEC or something. Yeah, those ones would be most likely very volatile. But aside that, this is what it is and how it's happening right now. Hi, good morning, Oladimeji Ibrahim. Morning. Nice to have you on the stream as well. Nice to have all of you on the stream. Whenever you join the stream, please just leave a chat in the comment section so I can see you and I can shout out. Because one of the major things that I would be doing is I'm going to be using my stream and every activity to actually judge who the real ones are, and that's where most of my gift things are going to come from. Okay, so anytime I get a prop firm to gift and all of those things, is all majorly going to come from activity. Okay, so I want to see activity from each and every one of us, so I can tell who the real ones are, not just the ones that come and go. Yeah, so that's that for for market for market insights, basically fundamentals. We'll also see Trump blasting tariffs on BRICS countries in the BRIC region. We also see Trump blasting tariffs in on them, like I said. But all of those things are not necessarily going to just make a huge impact because they have not been signed. It's more or less like a threat, kind of thing. So until we get those passed into action, before we might start to see massive reactions. Now, I know a lot of us want to understand why I was selling gold. A lot of people were buying gold yesterday, and now for me, it's just how I view the market. Sometimes I told you guys I'm very sentimental when it comes to the market. One of the major reasons to why I was selling gold yesterday was I saw a lot of buy sides. Too many people were buying gold without structure. There was actually no reason for you to have been wanting to long gold too long. Okay? Yes, there was a key level at 3296, reacted perfectly. But when we look at where the market was coming from, it was easy to tell that that was just a pullback. Like I promised myself to always say it on the call. Okay, three things you always need to find out in the market: where is the prices coming from, where's the prices going to, and why is the prices going that way. Now when you look at where the market is coming from, then you now need to understand if overall you're bullish or you're bearish, and what phase of the market are you in. Are you in the pull phase or are you in the push phase? So a pull phase usually is the pullback, and a push phase usually is the impulsive move, because market is always going to be impulse, correction, impulse. Okay, it's always a three wave, like an Elliott wave pattern. It's always three ways in direction. Okay, so those are like the major things that you have to always keep in mind and put your thoughts to. Now the next thing you now want to focus on now is now understanding why the market is going to where it's going to. And when you look at gold, okay, so let's just do a quick recap on gold, because we did analyze it on Monday, so people who were here would already tell why we took sales on gold. When you look at the market, yeah, specifically when you look at the market, you would notice something. The market was bullish and we came out of that bullish movement. Not only did we come out of that bullish movement, not only did we break a trend line. Now if you've not watched my video, okay, if you've not watched my video on trend lines, just after the call, just play around my YouTube and you'll see the video on trend lines where I spoke about trend lines specifically. The thing here is a lot of people view trend lines in a different light from how I view trend line. Okay, for a trend line to be fully broken, for me to show or identify a change in the direction of the trend, it needs to also take out structure. So what you'd notice here is I have this blue marker at this point here. When you look at this blue marker, you notice that this blue marker was what? It was broken. So we had a clear break of what? Structure, or a change of character here. Anyhow you want to describe it is still okay. Okay, because this was the structure and we broke it, okay, to the downside. Not only that, we also broke the trend line. So in order for us to fully understand that the trend has changed or has been diverged, we need to see that break, okay, of the previous structure as well. Now we got that break of the previous structure. What also did we see? We saw a break of structure in the direction of the trend, and then an invalidation of the structure, also a break of that trend line. So in my head I knew, okay, we've moved bearish. Now how also did we move bearish? We saw a clear break of the trend line, a retest back into the consolidation that then fueled what? The supply that took out this level. So what did I also see? I also identified that there was liquidity sitting. So all I needed was prices to come back into this key level where the supply reacted from, and then I started to look for sales. Now it was fair enough that they also did see, like I said, the retest of this level here of 3296, which was a very clear test of a key level here. Okay, so this was Monday's London session sells and actually push prices up here. Now all I was looking for was prices to come back again. Why? Because like I said on Monday, I had what, a change in state of delivery. It was all bullish here, and then bearish aggression came into the market. So I knew automatically that this supply was active and bears were in the market. So all I needed was for prices to do what, pull back up here and then start to sell off, and that was exactly where we took our trade from. Our initial supposed entry on Monday was supposed to be from this area, but you see how high I set the stop loss at 3352, because I did, for a reason, understood that, where's my, okay, 3352 here, because I did understand that for a reason prices might want to play and trap, early sellers. So we went 330 didn't hold until prices went as high as 342. But at the same time, there's always something I always mention to us: you don't just jump into a trade from a level because you think the level is going to be active. Now that is a reactive entry. You're going very aggressive. But if you want to play the best game, you want to go conservative on it. Not just conservative as in waiting for too many confirmations, but there's just something you need to look out for. And what you need to look out for is to go to like a smaller time frame, try to understand what the state of delivery was at that point in time, and wait for it to shift. So now what do I mean by a state of delivery? Okay, so let me just give you guys a quick class. So let's say the market was overall we're waiting for this level, okay, to sell off from this level, okay. But now the market is retracing, so we are in a correction phase. So market is in a pullback phase, okay. For instance, the market was bullish, okay. So this is like the 15 minutes time frame. Now you can clearly see that the state of delivery at this point in time was market was constantly doing what, pushing to the upside, and the delivery was a correction. It was moving to the upside, so it's correcting itself. So now that delivery itself is a corrective delivery. So what we need now is to find a change in that state of delivery. So what we're going to look for now is for prices to break out of it. We want to see an invalidation of that current, smaller time frame corrective structure. So we want to move from creating what, those higher lows and higher highs. Now we want to shift the market short term. So you go to like your 5 minutes time frame and you notice that prices have been buying, and then all of a sudden a huge impulsive move from the sellers come in. Now that validates the level you're in completely. So now you then want to look for like a minor retracement, and then you can finally take your entry. Now in smart money, this is what they then refer to as having a higher time frame intention and a lower time frame intent. So the lower time frame intent is supposed to validate your higher time frame levels or your supply or demand. So if for instance you're trying to take a sell on a higher time frame, and on the lower time frame you cannot see a change in state of delivery and a lower time frame intent starting to happen, then you probably are in the wrong zone. Okay, so you probably are in the wrong zone. So you constantly want to look out for this thing, and that was exactly what I did here. Why? When prices came here, I didn't just rush into the market to enter the trade. I waited for confirmation. Candlesticks are very important, and the first thing I saw was this huge rejection here at this same level, and then the next thing I saw was what, a continuation of bears into the market. Not only did that happen, but prices tried to go above it again and failed to close above that level. So I already took my entries at this point within this consolidation. Why? Because when I came to the 5 minutes time frame, I could already see a change in state of delivery, and this is what I meant by a change of state of delivery. Now can you see that prices were buying to the upside? They were constantly moving to the upside, and all of a sudden what happened? We saw the sellers take control of the market and started to come down. What happened? They took out this bearish notion here. Can you see? And prices did, for in fact, go up back again. So after it changed this place, it went back to retest, and then what did we see here? We then see this pullback here. We then see this pullback here, and what did our pullback do? Take out the Asian range here, which was this area here, and then started to sell. And this was exactly where I took my trade from, because now it had aligned. So I had seen confirmation to take the trade. I didn't just jump into the trade for no reason. So confirmations are always very important. So always pay attention to, you have a higher time frame level, that's fine. So pay attention to the smaller time frame structure, which is your intent or your change in state of delivery, lower time frame correction back to impulsive. Then you also want to focus on candlesticks. They're very important. Okay, so yeah, that is our recap on gold. So what are we now looking for on gold presently? Now gold has been selling and we are almost at our last TP, which is 3280, our intraday TP for the sales. We might go, shorter, yeah, long term, but would need prices to swing a bit. Okay, I will not just expect a pure drop. If that happens, well, that's good for us. But I want prices to swing a bit. Now, why do I want prices to swing a bit? We got a lot of sells yesterday. We got the corrections during Asian session. We had a lot of Asian sellers coming into the market at this point in time. I want to see probably a sweep of them back into this imbalance. Okay, just right into this imbalance. Why? Because we also have a key level around where that imbalance is. We have a key level at 3312, 3318 level. And why is that a key level? Okay, so we see prices acting here what as a support, prices acting here as a support, prices acting here as a support, but has not been what revalidated. I remember I always talk about revalidation of key levels. So it means that for every time a support is created, it needs to prove itself to become a resistance. So if you have support, 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 and prices break through that support, you need it to come back to show that okay, I can hold as a resistance in order for prices to be able to stay below it. So if prices can't stay below it, then it means that there's also a probability that prices would what move above it, and we don't want that to happen. So now we want a revalidation of this area. So we want a revalidation of this area and prices to fail to go above it and then continue selling. So that way, what would then happen? We then have support. Okay, we then have support levels finally break, and then what? When support gets broken, support then needs to what become resistance. Remember, these are basic things. I'm not even saying anything too advanced here. Okay, so once we get that, then we get the confirmation. And what do we want to see in that confirmation? Again, a change of state in delivery, and what a movement from the bullish correction back into bearish momentum, and then we confirm the intention, and then we take the sells. Very simple, and that's all you need to do. So once you have this in check, you're good to to take the trade when gold gets back to that level. Okay, so we also have GBP USD. Remember GBP USD from yesterday? Remember GBP USD from yesterday? We were waiting for this area here. Okay, I had this level here, but prices didn't come to tap us and then sold off immediately. Now when prices sold off immediately, we couldn't catch the trade. I couldn't jump into the trade. But now here's the good part about it. Prices is finally coming back into this level again. Now I'm looking for this fair value here. Okay, this interaction between last sells and last buys, and then huge sell drop from here yesterday. So I'm looking for prices to actually come back to fill into this level and then start to sell off. But as you can see, when the London session and this GBP USD, and prices seems to have taken momentum after sweeping the Asian highs here without fully entering into that block. Now the thing here is sometimes I might miss trades, not necessarily because I don't see them, but because if they don't align with what I want, okay, and what fits my trading style or my trading system, I might just let them go. And we clearly saw that in GBP JPY, and GBP JPY sadly has hit our TP. Very sad. When I saw it this morning, I just smiled. I was like, well, it happens. It's just part of those things. Okay, but now I want to see prices come into this level before the sales happen. This could be London manipulation here happening here. Okay, and then maybe we might see prices come back into this level. But you see this area on 1.36280, I'm looking for sales for GBP USD to continue the sales to the downside. And as always, where am I targeting? I am targeting lower. Okay, I'm targeting lower to this area here. That's what I'm targeting for the sales on GU. Our first TP on GU almost hit. Okay, you can say almost hit here, which in fact I think it did hit. Okay, almost, which is this key level here. Previous resistance has not become support here, so I was looking for the revalidation of this level for prices to move to the upside. Just to be sure that you guys are hearing me and you guys are following, please say you can. Just say you can hear me and you're understanding in the chat section. Let me be sure that we're all following, please. Okay, let me just be sure that we're all following. So yeah, so that is basically what I'm looking to get into today. If that plays out, I might have a busy day. I'm stepping out, so I'll just be tracking each and everything on my phone as it goes by. But yeah, aside that, I don't think there's anything too much to view on GBP USD. But let's look at GBP JPY. Okay, let's look at GBP JPY. GBP JPY. Yeah, I know you guys can hear me, and I'm glad that you guys can hear me as well. So if you can hear me, and if you are following, and if you're understanding, I want you to indicate that. To hear is different from to understand. Okay, so I want to make sure you're listening and you're understanding as well. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the chat section so I'll attend to them as well. Look at GBP JPY. Clean 270 pips move without any disturbance. And it's sad that we missed it, but it never came back to our entry, and that's okay. We win some, we lose some, and we're able to catch over 400 pips on gold, so that's fine. But like I said, always listen to Rion when Rion tells you something. Okay, entry entry might not be okay. So let me say this. Let me say this out here. My friend always used to tell me this thing, and he's like, just if you can perfect your entry and all of those things. And I'm like, see, there's a lot of false mentality around entries when it comes to the foreign exchange market, yeah. And there's no perfection in anything in life. There's no perfection. Okay. The most important thing is understanding what exactly is and is, could likely be. And one of it is, I can with my full heart and chest tell you where the market is going to. Yeah. Entries would happen based off where the market wants to actually move from, not where you want it to move from. Now, if we were to go by the understanding of what I explained, we could all tell it was valid. Prices needed to come back into that possible order block that was existing there, at least on a lower time frame. It had kept the liquidity, and it's a system. Okay, it's a system that works. So it was supposed to, but it didn't happen. And now that's not on my own, accord. But the market decided to move from where it wanted to move. You get, there was a valid key level at that point that market retested. Yes, very true, and that was the 6.780 level, and that was very true. And prices moved from there. But I was going by a system. I was going by a system that works for me and has worked for me. So if that didn't happen, then it wasn't of my own accord. Because at the end of the day, discipline sometimes can look like you being slow or you not taking action when you're supposed to. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to work. So you see that I give you guys a direction. You can see where the prices are already. We are going to sweep 200 level already. We came right exactly to where my TP is. You can see the line. You can see the line of the liquidity we plotted out. That's exactly where prices came and tapped into. Now, mind you, I could have jumped into this trade. But it was too impulsive for me to just jump into the market at any point in time. And I don't do that. It goes out of my trading rule as a person. And that's another thing you need to have. You always need to have a trading rule, as a trader, and focus on it. So we're going to sweep 200 very soon. Okay, so if I was to go by, trying to look for a possible entry on GBP JPY right now. Okay, so let's look at step by step structure. Let's look at what the delivery looks like. Is bullish. Okay, so we had lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and we had high highs, highs, and then we have a new high. So definitely we're in a corrective phase, and we're looking for prices to come back and then move to the upside completely. So this was the leg that pushed prices to the upside. So we're going to be looking for anywhere between a full retracement back into this OB here to actually buy from, or we look for the 61.8 or 78.6, which is at this level. And why we're going to pick this level here is we can see that it was the immediate. Let me zoom in a bit so we can see this properly. So why I'm going to be looking for this level too as well here is we can see that it was the immediate where previous bearish candle before the bullish impulsive move that did what, that broke structure at this point. And why am I also picking this level here is because you can also see some level of what liquidity that is resting before this area. So if prices does in fact come to this area here, then I might be looking for what would I be looking for here? I'll be looking for a change in the state of bearishness, probably on the 1 minute time frame. And once I get that push and I get that return, then I would buy from this level. Now this is also another place to buy from. So if this fails, my stop loss is probably going to be under here. So if this fails, probably 100% retracement would push prices back to the upside, because we need to sweep this liquidity resting above here. So there's still an intention as to why prices should be going for 200 level. This liquidity wasn't taken, it was just tapped. We just mitigated that point, but we never took out that level. So if I can see prices come all the way back to 199,200, then I would execute my trade from this point. So we're just going to be watching for this level here, and then we'll see what happens. But if for any reason prices breaks this level, okay, then we might finally see a correction back into this area, and then probably the buys will continue, but that is not for certain. But there's also a level here, okay. 198 is still a valid level. This is this area here. So if prices breaks here, then it would come for a revalidation of this point, then go back up. But I doubt that. I think for prices to want to retrace again, we need to break a high for a correction to happen, and that high right now is where 200 is, and that is a valid liquid area. So the true liquidity on the intraday level is resting, above that place. Okay, sorry guys. Okay, so that is, yeah, that's that for GBP JPY. So I also have Euro USD. Okay, so I also have Euro USD. I gave out Euro USD trade on the channel, and yeah, I missed this trade yesterday. Very sad, but I was going to call it, and I was just so focused on gold. But someone caught this trade. Someone on the channel caught this trade, and I'm very proud of you. Now that goes to show you that there are people who see my analysis and understand the analysis. It tells you that they are growing and they are actually good traders themselves. Because when you see an analysis, you don't necessarily have to wait for me to tell you when to buy or when to sell, except you're a complete beginner. But once you see an analysis and you understand structure and trend, it's very easy for you to catch it. And if you're a beginner and you don't know where to start and you don't really understand how to view the market, you can DM me, and I'm going to be setting up a class. Okay, I'm going to be setting up a class where I would be admitting only 5 people, just 5 people, and those 5 people I'm going to be trading with them, and also breaking down the market and how I view the market, and simplifying the chaos between fundamental analysis and technical analysis for just 5 people. And once it's set up, I would let us know once it's set up, so that you can key in and be a part of it. And trust me, it's something you don't want to miss, because it's going to help you simplify the market easily. So we had the sales, okay, on Euro USD from here Monday. In fact, I called the trade from here. I think this was where I called the trade from on Monday. Then I also had the return here that would have given us another entry yesterday, but like I said, I missed it. So now market is presenting us another opportunity. So we have this level of liquid area still resting here. So we have a liquid zone still resting here. But as you can see, this was a consolidation that was resting throughout the Asian session here. I think this was Sydney Asian session, okay? And then we have prices still just above this zone here. Okay, we have price still above this zone. So what I'm going to be looking for is to see a full sweep of close of trading hours, Asian session open, Sydney session open. Let's see if prices would sweep it. But if prices don't sweep it, then clearly gotten a we've clearly gotten an Asian structure style, where we have a break of structure, okay, a return into the Sydney range, and then sell off from there. And now from what I'm seeing now, we can see that we've also swept the intent at this level here. So price was bullish, then we had a break of this bullish move to the upside here. So where we go to like the 5 minutes time frame, the first thing I'm also noticing on the 5 minutes time frame here is that we've taken out this bullish move to the upside here, which is valid. So let's look within this range here and see where the actual Asian range was. So Asian session starts from 1 a.m. our time, 1:30. So this was Sydney. Okay, this was the Sydney move. Asian ranged into Sydney. Then we had the Asian session here. So clean. So we've actually gotten a good sweep of the Asian session, which is here. So Asian liquidity has been taken fully. Okay, so we have the Asian liquidity taken, and then prices, what happened, intent has changed from here. So what are we going to then be looking for? Let's go to like the 3 minutes time frame. So we still have this huge bearish momentum that created the change here. So I want to see prices pull back up a bit. But since it's Euro USD, okay, since it's Euro USD and it's not quite heavy, I might actually execute the trade from here and have my stop loss just above these highs here. So I might take a 20 pip stop loss and take my trade from here, have a 20 pip stop loss, which is fair, and then I'll target lower. Okay, so what we want to do now is, so I'm going to be selling euro USD. Okay, so let me just put that here, sell euro USD. Okay, and sell euro USD. We have our stop loss. We have our stop at 1.117,350. Let's use 1.117,350. Okay, 1.17350, and then let's have our profits at 1.16500. Okay, let's have our profits at 1.16500. So that's going to be us. That's first profit. Then we also go lower to the actual profit at 1.16200. Okay, then we also have okay, profits 2, okay, at 1.16200. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be looking for on euro USD. Okay, so let's see how it plays out. Yeah, okay, so that's that for euro USD. Okay, so let's even try to use an indicator, okay, to confirm this. Okay, so let's use the Asian range. I like to use the Asian range, this thing by, no, not the one by Lux. I'll go, no, not this one. I'll send out this indicator, yeah, and I'll show it to the main guys that are going to be part of that distance. Okay, so like I said, you see how on point it was. Yeah, let me zoom in a bit so you guys can see this. So you see, this was Sydney. Like I said, this was Sydney, and this is Asian. Okay, and this was the Asian range. It's just that the timing for the Asian range on this one is a bit wide. I'll need to adjust it. Okay, so this was Sydney, and then this was the Asian, this was the range before the breakout in Asia, and then we had the pull back up. So like I said, I'm taking sales. Okay, I am taking sales on on euro USD. So let's call that sell on for the group. Let's call it. Okay, so let's take a picture of that. Okay, my camera is very dirty. Very, very dirty. Okay, so if you're not on the stream, you're missing out a lot on the stream. If you're not on the stream, we are streaming and we're taking sales on euro USD, so always make sure you join the stream, guys. Okay, so yeah, that's about that, guys, for my trade for today. And I would catch you guys, I'll catch you guys Friday morning. So let's take euro USD. If I get an opportunity on GBP JPY, of course I would call GBP JPY for us. I need to step out now. I need to do a few things. Then if I'm able to be back before New York session, I definitely will hop on New York session with you guys. So we just talk about, give you guys a brief run through of what the FOMC minutes we're talking about and what we could be expecting in the next FOMC or Fed rate decision. Okay, and if you're on the call and you've been following so far, just leave a reaction. Just let me know you're following, you understood, and you've taken the trade as well. It's always nice to be on the call with you guys. Okay, so uh yeah, until until I see you guys again. It was lovely having you guys on the call, and I hope you were able to catch everything. Yeah, and another thing, yeah. So before I go, let me state something quickly for us that are still on the call. When you see my trade and I put an arrow heading somewhere and coming back down, okay. So that angle, it means that that level that I have pushed the arrow and is coming down from, okay. It simply means that that is the zone where I want to be taking my trade from. Okay, I might not necessarily be following the pullback, but that zone exactly, when prices get to that zone, yeah, I want to see that first push and then the break before the continuation. That's what the arrow means. Okay, for those of you who might find it a bit misunderstanding or misleading sometimes. Okay, and if you don't know, just always ask. Always feel free to ask. That's why you see that unlike other channels, my chat section is open so that you can ask questions. When I see them, I can reply. When I don't, my assistants could also see it and reply, because they do understand how my systems they work. Okay, so please feel free every time, and as always, it's Ryan for a reason, baby, and I'll see you guys on Friday. Cheers, guys.